Well, that was almost a disaster because I was going to press record and I hadn't even got my drink out of the fridge.
Hey, Diz After Dark listeners. I want to invite you all to join us over on Scare Zone, Halloween Horror Nights podcast. Scare Zone is a news, interview, history, and commentary podcast all about Universal's premier Halloween event. It's hosted by fans and experts like me, Logan Seculo, former WWE superstar Scotty Too Hottie, and Diz After Dark's own Chris Ripley. Subscribe however you get podcasts and head over to scarezone.com for more information. We here at the show are proud supporters of Diz After Dark. And remember, keep your eyes closed and your ears open on Scare Zone.
Warning, this show contains childish adult content and is intended for immature and mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. The views spoken are ours and ours alone, not those of any other bugger. If you're easily offended, we strongly suggest finding another podcast. Everybody neat and pretty, then on with the show.
And welcome to another edition of Diz After Dark. I am Nick, and tonight I am joined by P-Dubs, Mr. Paul Washington.
Good evening.
Mr. Chris Ripley.
Hello.
And our favourite female, no, not Craig, Miss Boston Whites. How are you doing, Amanda?
Hi.
That's a little joke for Craig. And it's good to have you both back. The show's not been the same without you, mainly because you've not been there. But otherwise the show has pretty much been the same, actually, just haven't had your voices on it. But it is good that you are back. And you both had good travels?
I had the best time ever.
Mr. Ripley?
Yep. It was awesome, as always.
Well,
what can I say?
We were going to talk about that tonight. But instead, some other stuff has happened which we feel probably needs its attention before that. So we will start the show as we do every episode. What is everybody drinking? Don't all rush.
Well, school night for me, so I'm on the lemonade tonight.
Well, seeing what you were drinking over the weekend, it's probably for the best. Mr. Ripley?
I am on, what is this? Highland Spring. So Mr. D's not here, but I'm just honouring him with drinking some of his native water.
Very good. Is it natural or is it sparkling?
It is sparkling.
I'm a fan of the sparkling water, actually. I know it's got an acquired taste, but I'm a fan. Miss White?
I am drinking a bottle of Budweiser.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
That's better.
Because I have here a postmodern classic, it says, also honouring Mr. Doland, who couldn't make it tonight, is a Brewdog Punk IPA. Because that's from Scotland, you see. And another quiet bottle opening. I don't know what's going on with these. Must be the Brewdog thing. But anyway, cheers. So, it's been a pretty busy day. It's been a pretty busy few weeks, actually. But today, and hopefully we're going to be the first podcast to actually talk about this, was the announcement of Disneyland Paris' 25th anniversary. Now, about a week ago, there was I only saw it on Twitter. I don't think it's announced anywhere else, but basically they hyped that there was going to be a massive announcement made next Monday, being the 17th of October. And there was lots of speculation about what it could be. Now, before we actually talk about what it was, what did you guys hear it could be?
I heard a name change to the main park.
That was my favourite. They're going to change the name of the park.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah, they took the sign down. on the front of the park, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's the big announcement. They're changing the name."
Is that what it was? Is that why
Yeah.
it was?
Yep.
I couldn't work it out because it seemed because that was I only saw that I think it was Friday or Saturday maybe that rumour, and I thought well, that's because it was so near to the date, I thought maybe that's what it is, but it just seemed odd because I mean it's right. We've had Euro Disney, Euro Disneyland. I think it was Euro Disney Resort as well. Then we had Disneyland Park, Disneyland Paris, Disneyland Paris Resort. I think that's all the names.
Yeah.
Have I missed one or something? Maybe.
Don't think so.
Might have even made one up. Who knows? Answer on a postcard or email us at disafterdark@gmail.com. That's the email address. But that was certainly my favourite. I think a lot of people expected because of a week before it was announced it was going to be massive, and they about midday, I'd say UK time, a press release came out. I will not read it entirely because it's a bit wordy and a bit long, but the 25th anniversary. Does anyone know what date the 25th anniversary is?
12th of April.
12th of April is correct. So why then is it starting on the 26th of March? That's number one.
Yeah.
That's number one. I've never understood that because I mean Disneyland Paris aren't guilty for that. They're not the only part to have done that. But surely you don't celebrate your birthday 2 weeks early, do you? Or a month early, or anything like that. You celebrate your birthday on your birthday, and maybe the Friday or Saturday around it, depending on your birthday falls. If you want to go out for a few drinks,
I have a month.
you have a month.
Yeah.
Is that why they call you the Queen?
Is that what?
Why they call you the Queen?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. No, fine. Why? May I ask?
Just because obviously I live on the other side of the country now, so I have to go and see everyone for my birthday, so I have like a whole month of celebration.
When you say you live the other side of the country now, that means you lived in Essex.
No.
Well, that's the other side of the country we're talking about.
No, other side flipped the other way.
You lived in Scotland.
No. Stop.
Well, that's not the other side of the country. That's like the other side of the road.
It is. No, it's not. It's the other side of the country.
Well, anyway.
Don't confuse the poor girl. She's still jet lagged.
Let's flip reverse it. So, the first thing that's announced in this press release, hold on to your hats, everybody, because this is the big one. This is the shocking news that beginning March 26, 2017, guests at Disneyland Park will experience Star Wars: The Adventures Continue. Now,
I didn't see that coming at all.
well, it blindsided me. When we're talking about a big announcement, why are we hyping up something that was announced over a year ago? It's not a secret that Star Tours closed to be replaced with Star Tours 2. So why have they made it such a big deal?
I've got nothing else to go with.
well, I wouldn't like to put words in their mouth, but yeah, it could well be. Now, the only thing... So, I've not been to Walt Disney World since the change. So, I last went, I think, a few months before it changed to Star Tours 2. Or Star Tours: The Adventure Continues. But I know, obviously, you got to see other planets. What is possibly a bit more interesting, and it's not highlighted, but it's there, is every destination will offer unique surprises with journeys through the worlds of Hoth, Tatooine, the Death Star, but Jakku. Now, Jakku, for those that don't know, well, actually, if you don't know, you won't care about this, so you can probably skip this part. But Jakku is the planet where I was featured on The Force Awakens. That's where it kind of all kicks off. So that's new, and that's not in any other park, is it?
Yeah, it is. They added it.
They have.
Yeah.
Ah.
Originally, when they first put it in, they guaranteed that you would visit Jakku. But then after a couple of months, they changed it so it was random again. But it's been in there since the film came out.
So there is literally nothing exciting about this news
No.
at all.
No,
Brilliant.
if they'd have added something from Rogue One, then yeah, but they're not.
No. See, you're wrong.
Are they?
Yeah, of course. It says you go on a Death Star.
But the Death Star doesn't exist in Rogue One.
It
It's only a plan.
Is it? I think
so.
Was it not in the trailer?
It might be, but that will be right at the end. I'm sure.
Well,
but yeah, that's the whole
link.
storyline, isn't it?
Yes. But I could now you said that you're getting me confused. I watched it quite quickly. I didn't really want to watch the trailer.
I've actually not seen it.
There was a trailer released last week, by the way, everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really want to watch it because I didn't want it to give too much of the film away. So I kind of watched it half-heartedly. So what I saw was good though. So continuing on, guests will be able to join the Rebel Alliance by becoming the drivers of Star Wars Hyperspace Mountain.
Ooh.
So that is
Now you're talking.
confirmation of a rumour everyone knew about 6 weeks ago. But no, I mean, there was obviously strong rumours it was going to happen, but it is actually confirmed. Now, it doesn't give the date, but I would expect it, if the celebration is starting around 20th of March, I would expect Hyperspace Mountain to be ready by then as well. Now, I
think they're trying to dampen people's expectations with the opening date on it.
Yeah.
By not giving a date.
No, well, I think am I right in thinking Star Tours goes down for refurb in January?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a chance, because so there was a picture released with this as well, and the picture, the cars look exactly the same, and Space Mountain itself looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
So, it's what they're going to be doing inside. So there's every chance they could get it ready by that time, if they're not making too many adjustments.
Yeah.
Possible. But yeah, so that is more exciting. And of course, yes, it would have been better if we hadn't heard the news a few weeks before, but, it wasn't confirmed. Now, at the shareholders meeting a few weeks ago, they said there would be a overlay and... there would be a refurbishment to Space Mountain, and the changes would be permanent. Now, that doesn't say it in a press release, but at the same time, it doesn't say it's for a limited time, or it's for the anniversary. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And from the picture they used, it looked quite similar to what they did at the California Space Mountain with the changes. So expect more of the same in that respect. But saying that, I mean, Disneyland Paris' Space Mountain is a lot more thrilling than other Space Mountains.
Can we say that they have the superior Space Mountain?
I don't see why not, because I without going on California's version, I personally think Space Mountain at Magic Kingdom sucks.
What?
Yeah, I do as well.
Mm.
No.
You are entitled to opinion, Amanda. It's wrong. Doesn't
It's
stop
right.
you being. No, it's wrong. But you are
It's right.
still entitled. Look, you celebrate your birthday for a month.
Yeah.
You're still entitled to it. It's fine. It's not a problem. I won't argue with that. You're wrong,
Okay.
but I won't
right.
argue with your opinion. No, to me, like it's not even the theming or anything like that I don't like at Magic Kingdom. It's just the ride itself. I think it's very clunky, very jerky,
Very cramped.
very cramped. Yeah, I mean, Mr. Ripley, how the hell do you get on it?
Well, exactly.
How did Craig get on it?
Yeah.
I think Craig straddles the actual gap in the rocket.
The hardest. I mean, I'm only 6'1", but the hardest one I ever tried to squeeze it into was the new seats on. Oh bugger! What's the name? The mountain in Disneyland. Matterhorn. The new seats.
Oh, okay.
They had them stupid rests on them, and the right guy. I suffer with a bad back, and the ride mechanism. Oh my god, that's a new level of shaking and rattling and awful.
Well, so I'm looking forward to it. I mean, the only thing which I think is a shame with Space Mountain in Disneyland Paris is the fact that the building is so iconic, and doesn't really look futuristic, I don't think.
Not in the sense that it fits with Star Wars, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean that the other Space Mountains do, but I think it's more believable in those buildings.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the cannon. I wonder if they'll try and add anything to the cannon to kind of cover it up. Because I think that might be quite good. I mean, I know that's quite an iconic thing where, you can see the people at the bottom of the cannon before they get fired up. But I wonder if they covered that over or enclosed it and then kind of projected. You know what they should do? The Millennium Falcon.
You're going to say the same thing? No, I was thinking they could do a stroll up the roof.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I was thinking hyper jump.
Yeah.
But I mean, either's a good plan to me. So, Amanda, how do you feel about it?
Not really that bothered.
I thought that might be what you were going to say.
I feel like I'd still like to go on it, so I don't really go to Disneyland Paris that often, but I think it would be pretty cool.
To be honest, I said this before, but if we can't get Space Mountain Mission 1 back, I'd rather have Star Wars overlay than Mission 2. I've never been a fan of Mission 2. So, I'm happy with that. Continuing on. Also arriving in spectacular style in 2017, Disneyland Park's new parade, Disney Stars on Parade.
Right.
Favourite Disney
What a good name.
Well, where favourite Disney stars, together with stunning new floats, create magic and happiness for all. Now, that is a little bit interesting there, because it clearly states new floats. Floats with an S.
Yeah. Oh, you know what they're getting, don't you?
What?
They're getting the floats that they've just ditched at Magic Kingdom.
Well, it didn't say brand new, did it?
No, it didn't.
New Disneyland Park. So there you go, you could be right. And there'll be a new show, Mickey Presents Happy Anniversary Disneyland Paris, at Disneyland Park, where Mickey Mouse will start the celebration by assembling as many of his famous friends as possible for a huge anniversary party. This festive show will take place daily for all guests to enjoy. Now, there has been talk of Elton John and Lady Gaga being invited over for this anniversary. Right?
What?
Well, in some ways, it kind of makes sense, right? Because I was there in 1995 when Space Mountain opened, and Elton John did a concert in the Disney Village, and they shut it all down. And he kind of, so that was kind of for that event going on. So there's a history there. But bearing in mind that they've been invited to the anniversary, do we think that when it says Mickey's going to invite some of his famous friends, that Elton John and Lady Gaga could be in that list, appearing daily?
Do you think?
To enjoy?
Do you think Disneyland Paris has got the budget for Elton now?
Well, that's a good point. Depends how much.
It's going to be like his Vegas show.
I've been to his Vegas.
No.
I love that show.
It'll be more like a Vicar of Dibley, where it's his brother turns up and it's Reg Dwight or whatever it was.
So he's celeb lookalike.
That's it.
Yeah, why not? That was this. In addition, fans of Disney princesses will be able to witness some of the most beloved princesses as they host their own sparkling show, the Starlight Princess Waltz, at the Royal Castle stage.
Let's all guess who's going to lead that. Someone that wears blue, I think.
Aurora?
Yeah.
She
Be better than Elsa.
You could well be right. So I wonder where this Happy Anniversary Disneyland Paris show will be.
It'll be on the stage at the side of the castle, I would imagine.
Probably.
Yeah. So, but that's the Royal Castle stage is a stage in front of the castle, isn't it? So that's coming back. Or is that the one to the side of the castle?
I think it's the one to the side. I don't think they have one in front of the castle anymore.
Well, no, they don't.
Unless they have one for spring, don't they?
Well, they pull it out. So I wonder, because the thing is, that's where the Princess Waltz is going to be, at the Royal Castle stage. So if we're saying that's to the side, where's Mickey going to have his show? So I think it might be in front of the castle.
Yeah.
So continuing on that theme, as he says, castle, segues all the time. Finally, so this is the last announcement, as night falls, there will be another spectacular new event, Disney Illuminations. The new show, with dazzling light projections and breathtaking special effects, will be conducted by Mickey Mouse onto Sleeping Beauty Castle. It will transport guests to a location where the stories of Disney's The Little Mermaid, Frozen, and the motion pictures of Disney Beauty and the Beast, Star Wars, and Pirates of the Caribbean will come to life before guests' astonished eyes. So, that's Dreams gone.
Yep.
Dreams is done after what would it be, just over 4 years, almost 5 years, weren't it by that time?
Yeah.
Because it was the 20th anniversary that started. So, firstly, what do people think about that announcement that Dreams is going? Are we happy or sad about that?
I'm quite happy. I have to be honest, it was starting to get very, very tired.
Okay. Anyone else?
I haven't seen it.
Good answer. Good answer.
I must admit, I have not seen it either.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I really liked it, but I think, like you, referring to the other person that's seen it, I think it could have done. What I understood about Dreams was that they made a big thing about how they could change it up, and they could kind of add and remove scenes.
Yeah.
But in the entire time it's been running, I think there's only been 2 scenes that have changed in that 5 years. So it felt like a bit of a missed opportunity, I think. I'll be sad to see it go, but at the same time, excited for something else. But that brings me to the second point. Disney Illuminations.
They're running out of names.
Clearly. And also, I mean, most people will know what that is. And they're not going to do that at Disneyland Park. They can't do that at Disneyland Park. There's not enough water for a start. So, I just think it's odd that they've called it that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Blackpool.
Is that your opinion of Disneyland Paris as a whole, or...?
No, just the Illuminations bit.
Okay, yeah. No, I understand. But you go there a lot. Do you not think, when you think Disney Illuminations, do you not think of Epcot?
Not straight. I definitely thought of Blackpool first.
Fair enough. Not everyone then. But yeah, I just thought it was a bit of an odd name. It'll be interesting to see what they do. They're still going to do projections on the castle. Reading between the lines here. I'll be interested to see what special effects they're going to do, though. That's what intrigues me.
It will just be the water screens again.
Well, yes, that's the obvious answer, but surely it's got to be more. And it can't just be the water projections and fire again. because that's what Dreams is. Otherwise, you may as
It's
well call
kind
it
of
Dreams Mission 2.
yeah. It kind of sounds like a mashup of Phantasmic and World of Colour.
Mm. Yeah.
With Mickey conducting it, that's a bit Phantasmic, and then obviously the water screens are going to be World of Colour like.
Mm. So that's it. So I know we've kind of broken it down, but was anybody else expecting more?
No, I kind of got low expectations when it comes to Disneyland Paris.
To be fair, I think everybody has.
Yeah.
And that's coming from an annual pass holder.
To me, Disneyland Paris is the little part that could.
Definitely.
You know,
But never will.
but never will.
They should have built it in Windsor.
Well, I was doing some research on it last week, and of course, so I was told, although I've had backup on it, that it was going to be built on Rain and Marshes.
Blimey.
That was where it was going to be built, and then after that deal fell through, Universal were looking at it.
Wow.
Universal, I didn't even know about this. I was obviously a little bit too young at the time, but Universal, after Disneyland Paris, after the deal had been done for Disneyland Paris, Universal decided they wanted to build a park in Europe. That was going to be a Universal Studios park, and the two countries fight like the final two countries was France and England.
Wow.
And England, it didn't get built in England because of they found a rare species of bird or something on the marsh, so it didn't get built there. But of course, I mean the park never got built anywhere. Anyway, so yeah, that's a story for another day. But yeah, I think we've come to people love Disneyland Paris. They come to understand that you're going to be disappointed every now and again with these things. But at the same time, I think when you hype something up for a week and you get everyone into a kind of frenzy about it, you know, everyone I knew within the Disney community, or certainly a high percentage of them, were talking about it. We're speculating what's the announcement going to be. You know, we already knew that Space Mountain might be turned to Hyperspace Mountain. We assumed because it's what they do at every anniversary, there'd be a new parade or a new show or something. So the announcement kind of came as a bit of a damp squib. I know what you mean, Chris, about setting those expectations low because of previous, but there's only so many times that they can pull this stunt before people get bored of it and go, you know, so in 5 years time, when it's the 30th anniversary, you know, and they turn around and say, oh, you know, next week we're going to make a big announcement about it, I'm probably not going to be that interested.
Yeah.
I certainly won't be sitting in anticipation to find out what it is, you know.
Yeah, that's not good because they may come up with something genuinely mind-blowing and then we all kind of miss it, but hey-ho.
Well, that's exactly it. That's exactly it, as far as I'm concerned. It's the boy that cried wolf. And there's only so many times you can do it.
Well, mind you, listening to the show from a couple of weeks ago, I mean, it sounds as though they put on a bloody good marathon.
Well, and they will do again.
You know, so they've got that. I mean, I'm sure they're going to expand on that next year. That could be a good winner for them.
Yeah. Yeah, you could well be right, actually. Could well be right. Mr. Ripley, you said that you heard a few rumours that you want to discuss.
They're from a friend of the show, Jim Hill. So they're he's fairly good, isn't he, his rumours?
Fairly good full stop, that man.
Yeah, we like Jim. So yeah, he was putting some rumours out recently about the soon to be upcoming 50th anniversary. I say soon, it's a couple of years off now, isn't it? It's only just done the 45th, so they're already starting to plan ahead for what will be in the 50th. He's saying that Walt Disney World is going to get Ratatouille.
Okay.
And that's going to be the Disneyland Paris present, if you like, to Walt Disney World. I think they did this before, where they gave them the stunt car show, didn't they?
Well, that's the second one because the first one was the Timekeeper,
Oh, right. Okay.
but no one remembers the Timekeeper, so
No.
everyone remembers the stunt show.
He's also saying that they're going to be having some other new attractions. We didn't elaborate on them, but he also did say they're going to be bringing the Club 33 idea from Disneyland.
Ooh.
That's going to be Disneyland's contribution to the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, the Club 33 thing, they apparently are going to have one in every single park.
Yeah, he said that.
And Disney Springs.
And Disney Springs, yeah.
I get the parks because it's going to be. I mean, can you remember what the membership is for Club 33?
Oh, it's quite expensive.
Oh yeah.
Jim did mention it, and he says it's gone up ridiculously in the last 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's pricey anyway. I mean, I don't even know if $10,000 is off the mark. I think it could be actually.
It's higher than that now.
Yeah, yeah.
I
said
know
it was
a few.
between 10 and 15.
I know a few people
previously.
that have got it, and from the sounds of it, it is like 5 figures. It's very expensive.
Well, the day is very expensive. And that's just membership as well. You've got to pay for stuff in there, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
Crazy. So that makes sense. I mean, to be honest, I've always thought of Interventions, for example, being that could be a prime Club 33 usage, or maybe convert waltz or something.
Well, the thing is with interventions in Walt Disney World,
No, sorry, I meant the one in
you mean
Disneyland Hotel.
Paris, yeah.
Don't say it like that.
Yeah.
You sound like someone else. We'll come to in a minute.
Well, the thing is in Epcot, I mean, if we just change to Epcot for a minute, I mean, they could easily fit it in anywhere there because they've got umpteen empty lounges all over the place.
Mm. Yeah.
That would be an easy one. But he did also say, I might have got this wrong, but I don't think he said that Ratatouille was going to go into Epcot. Did he say it was going to go into the studios?
Well, it would be. I mean, the thing is, like, for a long time, the rumour that was going to be that Ratatouille was going to come over. That rumour started not long after Paris announced it was coming.
Yeah.
It was coming there to the studios. And so the obvious would be, oh well, they'll stick it into the French pavilion, and you know that they'll put a ride in there. But at the same time, with the kind of extended Pixar area that they're having in the studios, it would make sense to stick it there.
Mm.
I'd say more so because I mean, you know, people are already kind of getting a little bit, you know, since they've opened Frozen Ever After, a bit funny about the fact that, you know, the Epcot pavilions could turn into just, you know, themed rides for the countries. You know, and a lot of people were quite vocal about not liking that idea. So yeah, I could see it. I could see it in either really, but you know, if I had a choice, I'd say I'd rather see it in the studios, personally.
I did do the Frozen ride on my trip.
Me too.
Managed to get a fast pass.
I didn't.
How long did you wait?
90 minutes.
Oh,
Wow.
It was worth every second.
it is a good ride, isn't it? I must
loved
admit,
it so
It
much.
is an improvement. Yeah, definitely.
And there, dear listener, is a teaser to our next show, where they'll talk not just about the Frozen ride for an hour, but other things they did in their trip as well. But I like a little taste of it. That's good. Actually, going back to that, I don't even think I'd like to see Ratatouille in the studios.
What is it?
It's a ride.
Yeah, but what what
It's a
kind of ride is
vegetable.
it?
It's a vegetable dish that's normally made with tomatoes, courgette, known as porpoise food, really.
Okay.
Ratatouille is, I would say, the nearest equivalent ride to it is probably Spider-Man, but that's already making it sound better than it is.
Oh, okay then.
No, it's not a bad ride at all, but and I think it's done really well in Disneyland Paris because over here we've never had a Spider-Man ride. That technology's never really been used in Europe, or certainly not, in the UK parks. I think they might have a similar ride in one of the German parks, thinking about it, but Disneyland never had a ride with that kind of technology, and Alton Towers Thorpe Park haven't either, really. So it was new, but to me it felt like I'd seen it before. It was just a different version. Basically, you could, if you changed Spider-Man, so you kept the ride the same, but you just changed the film in there, that's almost in a way what it kind of felt like in some way. But what is good about Ratatouille, and what was quite interesting, is it's trackless. So when you get in your car, your little Ratmobile, you're not on a track. You go around the rides, but there's no track on the floor, and there's no track above you.
What? Is it better than Crush's Coaster?
It's like comparing apples and pears.
Oh.
Which is stairs, Cockney fans. Crush's Coaster is a coaster. This is a ride. It's good. I mean, I'm probably sounding more negative than I should be on it, because it's good technology.
Don't convince me that this is a good ride.
Well, no, the thing is, I said it is, but excuse me, that's the beer talking. It is, but as I said, the technology used in Ratatouille was used 14 years earlier on Spider-Man. And other than the fact it was trackless, there wasn't much difference to it. I mean, it's not as thrilling as Spider-Man. It's in 3D, so you have to wear glasses around it. But it's a good ride. But if you've done Spider-Man, if you've done Transformers, it's not very original. And that's what I'm saying. Like in Disneyland Paris, it's probably more successful because it's original to a lot of people that won't have experienced those rides, that haven't been to Orlando. But for people that have, it's probably not as exciting.
Looking at my notes here, he suggested it's going to go between the back of the studio's Main Street and Fantasmic.
Okay.
There's an expansion pad there somewhere.
I think it'll be successful. I think it will be successful. People love it. People really love it. And I've got my friends who go to Disney World 2 or 3 times a year, and she hates Universal with a passion. So she hasn't been in Universal Studios for about 7 or 8 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Even though they go to Disney World that often.
Is she mad?
She just loves Disney. She's happy just to go to Disney parks while she's there.
Wow.
So that's it really. But there are people that if they go to Orlando may not go and do the other parks. If you're only going for like a week, for example, you're not going to do Disney and Universal. You just won't be able to. You'll do one or the other. So there are probably a lot of people that don't actually know what the Spider-Man ride's like. So if they went on Ratatouille, they probably think it's the best ride ever. But yeah, okay. Was there anything else from the wise mind of Jim Hill?
He also said Golden Oak has been so wildly successful in terms of they've got a huge waiting list, and everyone's all paid up on it, that they're going to expand that. They're going to have their own restaurant and community centre and all sorts. But starting prices, I think, something like $750,000.
Shh.
Yeah. And what with the dollar pound at the moment, I think that prices all of us out of it.
I don't think that made any difference, to be honest with you. I think it was quite priced out, even if it was
even before,
even if it was the old $2 to the pound that it used to be back in the day.
Back in the day.
My God. Oh, but those are golden days. I remember going on to, that was the first I went to Florida. I got $2 to the pound and spent 4 hours in that Virgin Megastore.
Wow.
At downtown Disney. Spent an
I miss
absolute
that.
fortune.
I miss that shop.
I loved it. And we still had Virgin Megastores in the UK at that point as well. But it was such a good shop. Such a good shop. What splits feel like?
I've never done it.
Amanda must have done it.
No.
Really? Oh, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
It always looks really busy.
Yeah.
There is a problem with it now, though, is they've built this great big garage behind it, so it kind of is sort of not as prominent as it used to be.
Right, I see.
But the garage does kick you out right next to it, so.
Okay. Well, I suppose there's that. Hi, thank you for listening to the podcast. We just need to take a quick commercial break. We've got bills to pay, unfortunately, and then we'll be back with the show. Right, so it's time to talk about the other sponsor we have for the Arthur Duck Podcast Network. And gents, if you were thinking, as you have done previously and you will do again, if you was thinking about booking a trip to one of the parks that we've talked about, who would you think of asking or at least approaching?
Well, there's only
Wendy!
one name that springs to mind only.
Wendy. So Wendy's so famous, she's only got one name like Madonna or Cher. Well, it's not actually true. She has two because she's got a surname as well, which is Prater. So of course, Wendy Prater at
Magical
Journeys.
Travels. We're so well prepared with this. It's like we've been practicing all day, finishing off each other's
Sentences.
sandwiches. For God's sake, this is totally unorganised. But we may be unorganised, but Wendy is not.
Oh, smooth.
You see,
I love how you did that.
That's what she's there for.
I'm a big fan of your work.
Oh well, we're a big fan of Wendy's work, which is the point. More than that, whether you've been to Disney 1 or 100 times, there's still lots of planning involved, and I think we can all attest to that.
Yep, and our burgers are good as well.
They are. They are. And of course, now with Magic Bands, everything else is even more complex. I mean, geez, the last time I went, it was much easier than it is nowadays. So, Wendy can be the person to take away that pain of getting a reservation for Be Our Guest. Where, friend of the show, that Florida guy just tried the grey stuff.
Yeah.
Hasn't reported back yet as to what it tasted like. And, you could try and get a fast pass for Anna and Elsa. Now, if us mere muggles or mortals tried to get a fast pass for Be Our Guest or Anna and Elsa meet and greets, how successful do you think we would be?
Well, I've already failed. I didn't get an EDR for Be Our Guest.
See?
So I wish I'd gone to Wendy for that one.
Wendy, not just the home of good burgers, but the home of good travel planning. So visit Wendy at wpmagicjourneys.com, or you can contact her on Twitter at wpmagicjourneys. And of course, if you mention that you heard one of our amazing podcasts, and that's how you got to hear of Wendy, she'll give you $25 off your deposit for any trip package. And our own Mr. Ripley at the moment has been on one of the Disney cruises, and she's able to offer generous onboard credits for Disney Cruise Lines as well. Something to bear in mind. So if you are thinking of making a trip, before you go anywhere else, go and find Wendy Prater at Magical Journeys Travels, wpmagicjourneys.com.
Because if you don't, you'll feel like a prat.
So there's one other thing that I wanted to talk about this week, and our good friend of the show, Lewis Sutton, alerted us to this. He alerted a few other people as well. It'd be interesting to see if they talk about it on their respective podcasts or anything. But it was an article that he found, written by an Australian. Well, I assume he's Australian. I mean, this is written for an Australian publication, so I'm making a lot of assumptions. But his name is Conan Elphicke, Elphicke, but we're going to call him Conan the Australian, just for shits and giggles, for this. But it was an article that he'd written about going to Disneyland Paris. Lewis himself has been to Disneyland Paris, and I remember he asked a few questions that we tried to answer on the show quite a while ago before his trip. So he's been to park and knows what it's like. But he sent this article, and it's a very weird article, and I just thought it deserved a little bit of attention, actually. And I thought we could go through it together as a group and kind of break it down and react to it as we see fit. Now, what's quite interesting is we've just spent most of the show not being very good about Disneyland Paris. So this could be interesting. But to me, it kind of seemed like it's got a bit of an agenda. So he starts off here. The headline, also the header, not the headline, but says Conan the Australian, doesn't say that, but I'm adding that, finds Disneyland Paris is a surreal reminder that parenthood is about putting your kids' needs before your own. Ominous. And then the article starts. I wasn't prepared at all. I mean, I knew there would be queues, but what I didn't appreciate was the cumulative effect of queues that were so long, so unyielding, and so numerous. It is dispiriting to discover within minutes of arriving at Disneyland Paris that for the next 2 days you will definitely, beyond question, spend the overwhelming majority of your time in a grinding series of lines punctuated by the occasional fleeting ride. That's his opening statement right there. That's his opening paragraph. Now, first thing, if I was coming all the way from Australia, would I spend 2 days in Disneyland Paris? If I was coming over from England, would I spend 2 days in Disneyland Paris? Probably not. It just seems very odd that somebody that knows that there's 2 parks to visit, if you want to punish yourself and go to studios, would only go for 2 days. That's my opinion. Am I crazy in thinking that?
Oh yeah, definitely.
What, I am crazy, or you go for a little bit longer?
You're crazy. No. I mean, the jet lag alone, you wouldn't get over in 2 days.
No, especially not from Australia. I mean, and if you even if you go, well, I was visiting Europe for 5 days, well, I probably wouldn't have gone to Disneyland Paris then. I'd have probably seen Europe. Make your mind up. Anyway, and also the other thing I want to pick up there is, so already this is going to be quite heavy about queues. Have you ever been to a theme park anywhere in the world, Amanda, this includes Blackpool, and not queued up for rides?
One time at Alton Towers after the Smiler.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, that's quite an extreme circumstance.
Well, otherwise, in normal circumstances, no, because that's crazy talk.
I mean, you've got to remember that at that time, it was kind of being referred to as a death trap. So I'm not surprised that there wasn't many queues at Alton Towers at the time. But yes, but the answer there is that it's very unlikely you've been to a major theme park and not had to worry about queues, at least for some part of your holiday. Conan continues. Conan the Australian continues.
I was just going to say, sorry, Amanda, we did do an RIP tour. We didn't have to worry about queues then, did we?
No, that's because we're posh.
Well, you do have a birthday for a month. Conan continues. Your only consolation is that your kids will, by and large, have a great time. Fortified by the magic of Disney, they reach deep within themselves to previously hidden reserves of forbearance. While her parents went almost spare, our 3-year-old was happy to spend 4 hours in a queue for a 5-minute chat and a photo op with a resting actor dressed as Rapunzel. Now, immediately, this Conan has tried to suggest that Rapunzel, and in turn other characters at the park, are not real.
Oh, how dare he?
Who do you think you are?
You know what? When I was reading this earlier, I just feel like Josh wrote this.
Is Conan Josh's pen name?
It must be.
Has he got a 3-year-old child?
Maybe.
Exactly. I was going to say, it's good you answered that because, when you go on Jeremy Cole, you never know what you're going to find out.
Well, exactly.
Not that you're...
That's what he does when I'm at the theme parks and he sits in the hotel room. Clearly.
Okay, so as immediately I get the impression from that paragraph there that it's almost like he's expecting that this should only be enjoyed by children. Doesn't say it as clear as day, but I think that's kind of the impression you're getting, which again is something I kind of object to a little bit. And there is no doubt in the spectacle of Disneyland Paris, formerly Euro Disney among other names, which we talked about earlier, throwback, that vast and lavish place is utterly magnificent, and we were there on a perfect spring day. Everything was colour and wonder and spectacle. The place would have been delightful if we'd had it to ourselves.
What?
Now, again, so on a perfect spring day, so immediately I was trying to work out what he meant there. Did he mean Australia spring, which is about now, isn't it? I think it's about spring in Australia now, or French spring. I'm not entirely sure. I think even as a Disney fan, I don't think I'd want to go to the park when it was just there for me. How bloody boring would that be? I mean, you want a bit of ambience, do you not?
Perhaps he's just judging it by Australian standards, where they just drive for miles and never see anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Mad Max, I know what he means, but just a bit odd. Other films about Australia are available.
We're crossing streams, Conan and Mad Max.
Yeah.
and crossing streams. A bit of Ghostbusters in there as well. We weren't there in the peak tourist season, nor was it a weekend or the school holidays, and the park, though busy, wasn't alarmingly packed. Immediately I'm thinking, you're kind of going back on what you've just said there, but anyway. The place was busy and the queues were colonic in nature.
What does that actually mean?
What?
Well, now, and I'm reading this, right? So I will just to make sure I've not said this or anything like that. Colonic, COLONIC.
Why
Now-
has he used that word like that?
Now, if he meant, if he meant chronic, I kind of get what he might be getting at. But colonic, isn't that where you have the pipe stuck up your jacksie and they flush liquid up?
I was going to say, I hope he wasn't clearing his bowels out.
Maybe. Well, I mean,
I know some of the queues are bad at Disneyland Paris, but that's taking it a step too far.
I've seen that in Shanghai, but not in Disneyland Paris. That's pretty bad. Colonic in nature, folding back on themselves like the entrails of a giant constipated cannibal. No, I think you meant colonic. None were shorter than 20 minutes, and most were much longer. Now, again, I normally expect to wait about 20-30 minutes. Anyway, now he says we weren't there in the peak tourist season, nor was it the weekend or the school holidays. How does he know? And I say that because, I mean, I'm sure he could have figured out if it was a weekend. All right, I'm not suggesting that our Australian friend here doesn't know what a weekend is. I know Americans don't know what a fortnight is, but I'm sure he knows the days of the week. So I'm not that's fine. I'm sure he's got that bit right. But he said it's not the peak tourist season, and he said it wasn't the school holidays. Now, as we know in Europe, the school holidays aren't the same. And they're not even the same in the UK, let alone the rest of Europe. So that's quite a big assumption to make. Number one. I mean, I've personally never been there during a week when it's not been a school holiday of any country and experienced what he's experienced. So I find it very, very strange. But, 20 minutes, an hour, I'd say probably worst case scenario. I can't imagine he'd have been queuing up for an hour for every attraction. That just seems a bit odd. He goes on. What redrains you will be. Sorry, what redrains your will to live is the queues that are not only long but for no apparent reason unmoving. These are called deep queue, which relates to the geological concept of deep time. We must think in terms of eras, epochs, and aeons. In deep queue, you can never see the front, which is presumably having its own issues dealing with life in the Cretaceous period.
Why is he so dramatic?
What? So halfway through his conversation, he's decided he's Russell Brand.
Yeah.
Now, I know I go off tangent, right? I know I go off tangent, but that is ludicrous.
I'm sure there's no dinosaurs at Disneyland Paris either.
Not in Disneyland. No, see, if it was in, like, Animal Kingdom, fair enough. But no, I don't think there's any dinosaurs there at all. What the hell is that about?
Does he start leaving dirty messages on OAP's voicemail boxes after the article?
He does have a thing for Fawlty Towers. I can almost guess.
Gotcha.
Spanish waiters in Fawlty Towers, I think he's got an issue with. It's very hard under these circumstances not to resent the large number of childless adults clogging up the queues for children's rides. The shit's about to go down. It is even harder not to think dark, politically incorrect thoughts about the French. He is officially a sucker. What a nasty piece of work. I mean, don't get me wrong. You know, we've made many a joke about the French on this show before, but where's that come from? And how can you turn around and send a large number of childless adults? How bizarre. That's just so strange. Disneyland Paris is a perfect reproduction of the Los Angeles original. No, it's not. Complete with Sleeping Beauty's castle, Main Street USA, and Space Mountain. Tangibly. There is no attempt to create a Franco-American fusion. By the way, I'm assuming there he doesn't mean James Franco, the American actor, or his brother Dave. I'm not even sure what he means. That said, it's hard to imagine what a truly French Disneyland would look like. It surely wouldn't be a pretty thing. Like the unnatural offspring of two completely different species, but the transplantation of faux Americana onto the outskirts of Paris doesn't seem right either. I'm guessing by this point of the article he's not having a great time. That's what I'm understanding. Perhaps that's why the staff at Disneyland Paris struggle with a bonhomie. Does anyone know what a bonhomie is?
What?
Bonhomie. Bonhomie. If somebody wants to whack that into Google Translate, let me know.
I'm Googling it now.
Thank you very much. Which is obviously ironic, given it is, a French expression. I mean,
it means good-natured, apparently.
Okay. Because I just, riding with my homie, that's what I thought. Because, that's like saying, like, sacre bleu is a French expression. They're not exactly rude, but they are at best unapologetic about things they should apologise for. And most of the time they are decidedly sullen and unenthusiastic, as though you've been forced to put on American uniforms and reenact the Normandy landings.
What the hell is he going on about?
You know what? It's a little bit like when you're watching a film, like a really crappy film, but it kind of goes around the circle to where it's so bad it's becoming good. And I think we've reached that part of the article. While there are parades and staff do appear to do the odd dance routine, there are no Disney characters wandering around interacting with the kids. If this is to save on staff costs, it's a deranged false economy because it makes a visit to Disneyland Paris not only surreal and tedious but soulless too. Now, I think Disneyland, the original Disneyland, is the only park that has that, and even they don't have it that much now, do they? Characters walking around.
No.
And
No.
Disneyland Paris does actually have the odd occasional character walking around, in the same way that you get them at Magic Kingdom as well. But what they do have is lots of meet and greets.
They do, yeah.
So I find that a bit odd. unless you looked at the map and went, right, I've just queued up for 3 hours to meet fake Rapunzel. His words, not ours. I'm not going to go over in that direction near where there's a meet and greet. Otherwise, you would eventually walk into one. Very odd. So it comes as no surprise to learn that the park has founded financially since it opened in 1992. In October last year, the Walt Disney Company, which is a 40% stake, announced a US $1.25 billion bailout. Okay, fine. Can't argue with that. Queues are, of course, common to all theme parks. Oh, so now he admits it.
Now he's real.
Yeah, and Disney's in particular, because in fairness, their various parts around the world are so good. And I can't categorically say that on any given day, Disneyland Paris is worse than any of its counterparts in America, Tokyo, Hong Kong, or Shanghai, but I reckon it's a safe bet. So I'm gonna make up something, and then I'm not gonna be able to back it up, but I'll just assume it anyway. I'll assume something. This bloke's an arse.
Why is it so crazy?
Exactly. I've got no idea.
In fairness, if you've flown all the way from Sydney, Australia, I'm just saying it comes from Sydney, I don't know, for 2 nights in Disneyland Paris, then got back on a plane and flew back again.
Well then, yeah, but then you're an idiot.
Well, yeah, that's a given, isn't it?
In a relatively short, this one I liked. In a relatively short queue for ice cream, a mere 20 minutes, I met a man from Arizona, now resident in Hamburg, who said he'd been psyching himself up for a visit to Disneyland Paris for a full month. You've just got to say it's not about me, it's all about her, he said, glancing down at his small daughter. He was a laid-back kind of guy who'd heard about Disneyland Paris' reputation for Gaelic inefficiency, but even he was growing impatient as he watched the ice cream vendor prepare sundaes as though he were trying to make sense of Derrida's views on hermeneutics. Again, he just went into Russell Brand. I've got no idea. That's probably not even said right, but I don't care. The American turned to his daughter. Let this be a lesson to you, Lucy, he said loudly. Never become French. Now, a couple of things. First of all, she can't become French. That's impossible. Clearly wasn't born in France. Can't be French. Secondly, sundaes. This isn't a scoop of ice cream in a cone. It's a sundae. It's made in a certain way. Therefore, it's going to take a little bit longer. Don't be a dick. If you do go, my advice is go in the European winter and prepare ahead. Brief your children weeks in advance that whatever their memories of Disneyland Paris will ultimately be, their actual experience on the day will be one of queues. Bring iPads, food, drink, and ideally your own jugglers, because Disneyland Paris will provide no queue entertainment, unlike its counterparts elsewhere in the world. That's a load of crap, because there's only a few attractions around the world that has anything like that anyway. And you have to be tactical. You must implement my wife's queue management strategy, the sort of thing the SAS use when attacking a well-defended enemy position. Study your map carefully and prioritise rides. Adults must synchronise watches and deploy to different queues, maintaining constant mobile phone contact. You can't stroll from ride to ride, you must march at the double. If necessary, use sharp elbows once you get there. There are Darwinian forces at work in Disneyland Paris and you don't want to fall foul of them. Does that mean that people have tragic accidents because they're stupid? Anyway, for parents, Disneyland Paris isn't about relaxing and having fun, it's about getting the job done. Your worst fear is a mechanical failure on one of the rides. If you're alone or with another adult, that's just manageable, but the nightmare is spending an hour or so dangling on a chairlift over Neverland with a small child who informs you that they need to go to the bathroom, and no, it definitely can't wait. Isn't that the same anywhere?
Say that last bit again. Which ride?
Well, it doesn't say what ride, but it says a dangling chairlift over Neverland. So I'm assuming he means the pirate, like the Peter Pan's flight.
All right. I was going to say that sounds like the one from Walt Disney World they got rid of. You know, the ski lift thing.
Yeah, just a very odd, just not a very odd thing. But that can happen anywhere. As Amanda just attested to, happened at Alton Towers, people lost their legs. So be thankful you didn't lose any limbs. Now this is the best bit. There is admittedly a fast pass facility on some of the more popular rides. A machine at the entrance to the ride issues you with a timed ticket to come back later. Somehow, I managed to remain ignorant of this throughout my 2 days at Disneyland Paris. Mate, I think you just remained ignorant full stop. I don't know if this was my fault or the park's, but I'm prepared to hazard a guess. Your guess is it was you dick.
It was you.
And in another attempt at fairness, I should add that my children had a terrific time. While I had almost no memory of the rides, one thing I do recall is the look of sheer delight on their tiny faces as we chunted through It's a Small World. It's got to be an Australianism, that. So, a visit to Disneyland Paris is a microcosm of parenthood. It's delightful in many ways, but it's also expensive and irksome much of the time, and there's lots of whinging, not all of it from kids. Worse, it's a practical exam, one that tests your willingness to place the happiness of your children above your own. I knew this at the time. I knew I was failing, just as I knew that being bored and grumpy whilst visiting Disneyland Paris is pretty much the definition of a first world problem. And for that, I have no one to blame but the French. I mean, the thing is, he's admitted right at the end there, there's a thing called Fast Pass, and Fast Pass almost eradicates everything that he's moaned about, the entire thing. Now, I know we know about Fast Pass, but is it hidden? There's signs on every attraction that has Fast Pass. There's special entrances.
If you went to Walt Disney World, then you could argue it is kind of hidden because it is all to do with my Disney experience.
Yeah.
But with Paris and Disneyland, there's signs, there's cast members, there's all sorts there.
That's what I mean. Like, I just thought, what are you on? How have you gone around the park for that amount of time and not known any of this stuff? Just baffles me. So Conan, you're already famous because you've had your article published, so good on you. But we wanted to go for it. I wanted to go for it because I just think you come across as a bit of a dick. And I think breaking it down like that and actually going through it just shows how much of a dick you are. But at the same time, I'd be more than happy if you hear this podcast and you want to come on and you want to defend it and you want to talk about it. Absolutely happy to, because I'm not going to sit here, none of us are going to sit here and say Disneyland Paris is perfect. We've talked about many of its flaws earlier on this same episode. But the way that you have gone through it, it was like you had an agenda to hate it before you got there anyway. You've done no research. It's almost like you've never been to a park before like this in your life. It's amateur hour, son, and you failed. Just boggles the mind. And the fact that you think people without children shouldn't be there, just because you want to wait less for a ride, makes you an absolute idiot. Half the fun of going to a Disney park is being a big kid. Whether you have children or not, it's not a prerequisite that you can only go. So,
but even Walt Disney himself said that he didn't design Disneyland just for kids. He designed it for the adults because they're the ones that pay the bills and decide where they go on their vacations.
Exactly.
Yeah, Conan.
Yeah, Conan. What she said.
Let's get him on.
I'm holding her back. That's how angry. Can you hear how angry she is?
What an arsehole.
That is anger.
That is it. That's just taking it to a whole nother level.
I'd never heard Amanda be so rude about someone in my life.
Like, why has he got such issues?
Well,
I don't like Disneyland Paris, but I don't have kids and I go to Disney parks all the time. Like, what's his issue?
That's it. Well, the gauntlet has been thrown, my friend. we can't find you. We can't contact you, but we hope to find you.
Him. He's on Twitter.
Oh, this game on. This show is going out, and it's going directly to you, sir. So, Conan the Australian.
He tweeted 11 hours ago saying, I strongly urge you to read my article on Disneyland Paris.
Perfect.
Whether you intend on going there or not.
Perfect. Because you know what? This podcast is about to be dropped. And when this podcast goes out, we're going to tweet you from Disaster Dark. And we're going to say, Conan, we've done a show about your article. You should listen to it whether you're planning to go back to Disneyland Paris or not. And let's see what happens.
First question, what is a colonic queue?
Lewis,
how do I avoid one?
Lewis, thank you for bringing this to our attention. And I'd be really interested in getting him on. We will tweet this out. We will do what we said. We will tweet this out to him. Hopefully, get his attention on it, and hopefully he will listen to it. I'm sure you're not really an arsehole. I'm sure you're a nice guy, really. But your article definitely makes you come across as one. And absolutely happy to have you on here. Defend yourself. We can have a bit of back and forth on it if you're up for the challenge. So over to you, Conan the Australian. Let's see what you make of it. On that bombshell, I think we should better call it for a night. Otherwise, Amanda's going to starve.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And we can't have you wasting away.
No.
So, yeah, thank you for listening. Hope it's been fun. And we'll see you all in a few weeks' time for a little talk around the parks with Mr. Ripley and Miss White.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
Yes.
Not as awesome as the holiday, but awesome nonetheless.
It'll be like you're actually there.
Now, does anything sound better than that? I don't know. Does anything sound better than that?
No.
Yeah, definitely not. No. Sorry, I was looking up Mr. Conan again.
You're allowed to do that. It's fine.
And he's going to get some hate.
Oh yeah, I've seen him as well. So, on that note, we will see you all in a few weeks' time.
Bye.
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 Drew, bye.
This podcast is part of the After Dark Podcast Network.